In everyday conversation, there is one simple question women often ask. A question so subtle that most men completely overlook it. It sounds harmless, almost insignificant. Yet, research suggests that ignoring these kinds of emotional signals can seriously damage relationships over time. Studies, including those from the Gottman Institute, have shown that couples who fail to recognize and respond to these small bids for connection face a dramatically higher risk of relationship breakdown. Today, I'm going to walk you through two specific questions women ask when they are trying to build emotional closeness. And the second one in particular has the power to completely change how you understand conversations with women from this point forward. But before we get into those questions, there's something important you need to understand. Many women do not express their emotional needs directly, especially when it comes to vulnerability and connection. This is not manipulation, and it's not a game. It's rooted in psychology and even biology. Emotional openness requires a sense of safety, something deeply wired into the human brain. For many women, emotional safety must be established before deeper feelings can be revealed. Because of this, instead of making direct statements, women often communicate through questions. These questions are not random. They act like a kind of emotional code. Most men have heard them countless times, yet often respond with nothing. I don't know. Or they simply change the subject, and in doing so, they unintentionally close a door that was quietly being opened. To really understand this, you need to look at the system behind it. Memorizing the questions alone won't help. That's the mistake most people make. They focus on words without understanding the language beneath them. Research by anthropologist Helen Fisher using brain imaging revealed something fascinating. When a woman feels attraction and a desire for emotional closeness, the first areas of the brain that activate are not those linked to physical desire, but those associated with language and communication. This means something crucial. For many women, emotional connection begins not with touch or appearance, but with conversation and especially with meaningful questions. Why questions instead of direct statements? The answer lies in evolutionary psychology. Over thousands of years, women developed subtle ways of assessing safety, reliability, and compatibility before opening up emotionally. Choosing the wrong partner historically carried serious consequences. So, the brain adapted by creating indirect ways of evaluating trust. These questions, therefore, are not just about information. They are about your response. Not just what you say, but how you say it. Your tone, your eye contact, your pause before answering, whether you respond thoughtfully or dismissively. All of these are being unconsciously evaluated. As psychologist Sue Johnson explains, behind every question a woman asks for connection, there is a deeper unspoken question. Are you emotionally safe for me? That's what is truly being tested. And this brings us to the first question, one that seems so simple that most men completely miss its importance. What are you thinking about? You've heard it many times, and most men respond automatically with nothing, often without even looking up from their phone. But this response shuts down something important. Because when a woman asks this, she is not actually asking for the literal content of your thoughts. What she is really doing is reaching out, inviting you into a moment of emotional connection. According to John Gottman, who studied thousands of couples, the success or failure of relationships often comes down to how partners respond to these small moments. He calls them bids for connection. Ignoring them, dismissing them, or responding superficially doesn't just end a conversation. It weakens the emotional bond. And over time, these small missed opportunities accumulate. The relationship may not break suddenly, but it slowly loses depth, warmth, and closeness, often without either person fully understanding why. Now, here's where it gets even more important. When a woman asks, "What are you thinking about?" the best response is not a perfect or impressive answer. It's an honest and present one. Even something simple like sharing a small thought, a memory, or even admitting you were just reflecting on your day creates connection, shows openness. It signals that you are willing to let her into your inner world, even in a small way. That's what she is really looking for. Not perfection, but access. And then comes the second question, the one that changes everything once you truly understand it. It may sound like, "How do you feel about this?" Or "What do you think about us?" On the surface, it sounds like curiosity, but underneath it's much deeper. This question is not about gathering information. It's about emotional positioning. She is trying to understand where she stands with you, how you process emotions, and whether you are capable of engaging on a deeper level. Many men respond logically, giving opinions or facts, but miss the emotional layer entirely. And in doing so, they unintentionally signal distance instead of connection. The key difference is this. Logic answers the question, but emotion builds the connection. When you respond with awareness, acknowledging not just what you think, but how you feel, you step into a different level of communication. You show emotional presence, which is rare and deeply attractive. This doesn't mean over-explaining or being overly intense. Simply means being real, grounded, and open in the moment. When you start recognizing these questions for what they truly are, invitations, not interrogations, everything shifts. You stop reacting automatically and start responding intentionally. You begin to see conversations not as exchanges of information, but as opportunities for connection. And that awareness alone sets you apart from the majority of men who continue to miss these signals entirely. So the next time you hear a simple question, like what are you thinking about? Or how do you feel about this? Pause for a moment. Understand what's really being asked, because in that moment, you are not just answering a question. You are either building a bridge or quietly closing a door. And once you learn to see it, you realize that these small moments are where real connection is either created or lost.